Anybody want to tell me about Project 2025? I'm not claiming to know everything about. Oh, wait a minute. Let me open up with a video. I made a video about it. Want to hear it? Here it goes. All right. So it's actually not about 2025, but it's called Mind Control, and it has some of the people that's in it.
Destruction of your soul. Oh, Grandmaster, let the people go. You put them in total confusion to destroy their souls. For they practice what you preach, so they're always in your reach. High-tech slavery in these days, it's mind control. They'll make it attractive to get men distracted, corrupting you, polluting you, destroying. Mind control, corruption of your thoughts, destruction of your soul. Mind control, it's mind control, corruption of your thoughts, destruction of your soul. Come on in, get it together, brother man. What you say? It's mind control, corruption of your thoughts, destruction of your soul. Mind control, it's mind control, corruption of your thoughts, destruction of your soul. It's mind control, corruption of your thoughts, destruction of your soul. It's mind control, corruption of your thoughts, destruction of your soul.
All right, it's Mind Control. Give thanks to the Marleys. They always give some powerful songs.
I was surprised about the early Negroes for Trump. I had no idea.
I know. You know,
Yeah.
I got those pictures like years ago. I think I want to say 2016 or something like that. And so, well, you know what? You take pictures with a lot of people, and maybe it's just one of those kind of things. But it does look funny. You know, it does.
Yeah.
It looks.
Yes, it did.
It's not. It's not something like, hey, yeah, I'm really proud of that. All right. So,
2025, the project 2025 is
is that
basically a, oh, okay. I
is
thought
that
you
what
said, yeah,
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
you were asking what it was all about in a sense.
Please.
Did anybody hear of it? And I
Mhm.
know that it's a handbook that they got together for the next presidency of 2025.
Mhm.
And some of the changes that they're going to do, like they're going to get rid of the Board of Education, they're going to get rid of education and commerce and something else, some other things that they're getting rid of, and they're going to take the armed forces and use them for the police and all that kind of stuff. That I, from the little that I've read, I hadn't gotten into it, but
Mhm.
basically it's a handbook that they came up with.
How many pages are in there?
I have no idea. It's pretty thick.
Anybody know?
I saw how many chapters. Let's see. No, I don't.
Anybody?
I saw the book though.
900 pages. Okay, go ahead, Kitty. Kitty, you don't have to raise your
Okay.
hand. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Well, it's good that you're bringing this up. Gets us to thinking and remembering. This
Yeah.
actually goes back to the 1970s with
All
the
right.
emergence of the Heritage Foundation,
Yes.
the right-wing conservative think tank, highly financed by many others, including the Koch brothers. But the Heritage Foundation largely shaped Ronald Reagan's presidency with the conservative policies on taxation, on laws, on prisons. And remember, after the Reagan administration, especially during the first Bush presentation, the prison industrial complex exploded in the United States, largely due to the Heritage Foundation proposing laws across the individual states that would further criminalize much more the public. Now, what gets me is I quickly brushed up on the Heritage Foundation and this background is how closely their agenda resembles that 1989 film starring Faye Dunaway and Robert Duvall that almost didn't make it to the market, and then it was pulled out of the theaters less than 2 months after it came out.
What
Called
movie is that?
The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, you know what? Okay. You said it. The Handmaid's Tale. I saw that. Me and Doris went and saw that with some friends. And
You saw it, the original release?
Yes, and
Mhm.
it opened up with all of these Black people being round up and put on trucks and then taken away, and then you didn't see what happened. You know what happened to them, and then you were watching, and the way the TV was, you know how the AOL thing. All right, Bill. Bill, I'm telling you, that man, he's got it in there. Okay, give thanks. It's 920 pages. So you know how AOL has that the triangle and stuff? That's what's in. That's the way the TV, the news broadcast was in Handmaid's Tale, and this is before AOL.
Mhm.
And go ahead, Zarita. Go ahead. Take yourself off mute.
Oh,
We can hear you. We can hear you.
no, I'm using the icons to agree.
Okay.
And sorry.
So in that movie, I was just getting angrier and angrier while I was watching it. And they had a news broadcast, and they said this in the news broadcast. The program to round up the sons of Ham is progressing. And then you know, like the surrogate mothers and stuff. They and then they were showing how they were training little girls, and this you know, it was a class. It was all little. It was all like girls that were like maybe 10 to 12 years old, and they were talking, and they were talking to a teacher, and she was explaining how she had gotten sexually exploited. Let me just say, she was raped, and after she told this horrible story, I really hate that movie, Kitty. I really do. After she told the story, the teacher says, "Whose fault was it, class?" And the class said, "It was her fault." And they said, "Why?" And the class said, "Because she led them on." You know, yeah. And so I haven't seen the news Handmaid's Tale, but that first one really, if my wife wasn't there, you know, because I calculate things like, okay, if I run up and pull the screen down, I can run out and nobody's catch me, but you know, she might not be able to keep up. So I didn't pull the screen down, but I'm still pissed off. You know, I'm still vexed about that movie. Go ahead.
If I could just give a brief input.
Wait, hold your point. I'm sorry, just hold your point. Zarita has her hand up. Go ahead, Zarita, and then hold your point, Kitty. Don't lose it. Go ahead, Zarita.
Yeah, I didn't know that it had been. I saw The Handmaid's Tale on television.
Mm-hmm.
It was total, complete control. As a matter of fact, they had divided the United States into a region where this control was in a large portion of the United States. And one of the goals, because there was total control of women's bodies, of giving birth, population control, who could father children,
Yes.
what women could give birth to children. Children were taken from the mothers. There was a guy who was worshipped basically as God. And those who were aware, cognizant, they were trying to get out of that region to another area of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was it. Very good. Kitty, go ahead.
Well, I believe I've seen the movie close times. I used to call groups together and we'd watch it together and analyze it. I have been writing on these topics since the early 1990s, and personally, I consider the 1989 version to be prophetic in so many ways. You had mentioned the different strains that make up the underlying foundation of the movie. And the last point I'll make is that they remade the movie. The movie was originally based on the Canadian writer Margaret Atwood's book. And she meant it to be a dystopian warning to society. Is that where America could go if it starts to collapse internally? Now, this coincides with Johann Galton's book called The End of the American Empire, What's Next? Blossoming or Fascism. That was the fascist vision of this dystopian prophecy of what America would be after its global empire closed. The last point I'll make is they remade this series into a television series. I don't know whether it was Netflix or HBO.
Yeah.
One of those channels remade it, The Handmaid's Tale, and it was terrible because the TV series was taken over by feminism, while the original writer, Margaret Atwood, said she was not. She declared, I am not a feminist. And so, you know, I'm kind of averse to feminism myself. That's a whole other topic. But I do recommend to people, if you're going to watch the original movie, The Handmaid's Tale, Robert Duvall and what was her name? Faye Dunaway, two of the biggest stars in America. Yeah. And their movie didn't last 2 months in the theaters. They pulled it because it was too political.
That movie, yeah. That's, I don't even know if that's the right word, Kitty. That movie, it was showing too much.
And it was dystopia, distinctly dystopian in America. And as our beloved sister just said, they broke America up into different regions. We're on the verge of that happening again.
Yeah, we are. Whoa! Anybody else want to add before? I just got some notes here. 920 pages. It's hard to get through. At one point when I was in the 7th grade, I took an Evelyn Wood. My father had us all in the family take an Evelyn Wood speed reading course. Remember that? And with the machines and stuff like that. But I couldn't stop laughing, Sebastian. But hey, I can't read that fast, but
when they black out the words and they went slow and then all of a sudden they speak. My mom made me take the same class.
I had to do all that. And so let me just share some things, and we're gonna come back.
But I know about their 2025 too. They got it broken down on everybody's role, like the president's role and this person's role. It's pretty organized.
Well, something else about that, and you use that word organized. How is it organized? Okay, it starts with the Heritage Foundation, but what else? What else is included with the Heritage Foundation? Anyone? Well,
I would say that just like with Ronald Reagan, and I hope I don't offend anyone here, they used someone who was more interested in their own narcissism, their own celebrity. They used him, Ronald Reagan, as a vehicle, just as long as he got patted on the back and they played a hail to the chief when he walks in the room. He was satisfied. He was, of course, entering stages of dementia as he went into the White House, but they used him to further agenda that had predated him and actually goes back to the days when the Prescott Bush family supported fascism in Europe, in contradiction to what the U.S. government stance was.
Isn't that interesting? And who is Clarence Thomas married to? Anybody know?
It's Miss Thang.
But what is she in relationship to the Bushes?
All I remember, she's from one of those royal families.
She is the cousin of George Bush the First's wife. All those people are together. Okay, let me just show you a few things, and we can move forward in the discussion. So let's see.
I know Trump is connected with the administration with the Heritage Mandate.
Yeah. So here's our project 2025, and these are the crazy people that are involved with it. So I went to this site, and it's called the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism, and they kind of capsulize it pretty well. And this is a one-pager that kind of sums up the Project 2025. And I'm going to put it in the chat. But it's in no way you have to kind of flip through this thing, and that's the thing. It's 900 pages. It's not only the Heritage Foundation, but it's 100 other groups that's involved in it. 100 other far right conservative groups, Christian nationalists, racist organizations, funded by billions of dollars of dark money. That's who's behind this document. And these are some of the things that they want to do. Okay, they have to put this LGBT thing in. But the other thing that they want to do is they want to eradicate federal funding for DIE. Can anybody tell me what DIE is? We'll come back to it, but they want to eradicate funding for that. They want to end reproductive freedom. Now, Brother Keaty gave us some interesting information last week, dealing with reproduction and abortion and things of that nature that we should revisit as a people. But at the same time, I don't think you should pass laws that people can't do that, related to their own health. Ending climate change, slashing Department of Justice, and dismantling the FBI. I wish they had done that during the time of Malcolm and King. They want to purge government of apolitical civil servants. So when Trump was in, and there was a lot of stuff that he wanted to do, but he would run into people that would say, hey, Mr. President, you can't do that because it's against the law. So they want to take people, like maybe it's 50, maybe it's as high as 50,000 apolitical civil servants and replace them with yes people. So chapter 15 was written by Ben Carson. So he's talking about the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Ben Carson is Ben Carson for me is a great disappointment. Thank you, Bill. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They don't want that. They don't want that funded. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. So Ben Carson, we used to have him on the 365 day Black History calendar because he was a neurosurgeon who had separated these Siamese twins from the head at birth, and it was a great thing. And then the next thing I don't know if he had gotten involved with the Kardashians or something, but he ends up being far right wing. Okay, and this is a quote. He says, before Obama, people barely noticed skin color. That goes back 150 years. Blacks were happy and grateful for what they were given. So people are talking about this brother, what's his name? Brian Donaldson?
Yeah, senator.
A senator? Is he a senator or a congressman?
He's in the House.
Yeah.
He's a congressman.
He's a congressman. Thanks, Ed and Sebastian. So he made this statement about Jim Crow, and really he should have just said, hey, that was a bad choice of words, and then went on. But no, he doubled down with it, which I think is really so. But before Donaldson, it was this guy. He's talking about Obama had brought in color. Here's a quote from Malcolm. He says, sometimes, here's our tree, Sebastian. He says, sometimes a fruit falls from a tree and rolls so far away from its roots, it's no longer of the tree. The hard fall and the long journey bruises the fruit so much that it totally changes. It's the same way for some of our people. This is why some can't be awakened, regardless of how much truth you present to them. This journey has totally brainwashed them to such a degree that they're no longer of the original tree. So Clarence Thomas is trying to bring up, he's trying to reverse Brown versus the Board of Education. And Herschel Walker was a great running back, but he had no business running against the brother, is it Warnock? That in Georgia. He's a senator. He was running against him. And Tim Scott, man, do they have something on him? Did they give him something in his water, in his tea? Just some of the things that he says. And a lot of these guys it's like the Celebrity Apprentice. Keita, you brought up Ronald Reagan, and yeah, people get mesmerized by celebrity. So you have a guy, he's acting like an actor, he's acting like a president. And then you have a reality a show host, Biggest Loser, The Apprentice. And so these guys that are trying out for vice president, it reminds me of Celebrity Apprentice. Yep. Yeah, I think he does. He's taken too many hits today. All right. So in this in that document that I started out with, and it has the far right playbook for American authoritarianism, Project 2025. And these are some of the things that it looks at: a blueprint for authoritarianism, the role of Christian nationalism. I don't know what's worse, evangelicals or Catholic Christian nationalism. Gutting the civil service, ending racial equality efforts, restricting sexual and reproductive health rights, hardline immigration policies, ending climate change efforts and restricting environment process, ending woke military policies. And by the way, I did a search because I was watching what's that sister, Tiffany Cross. She used to be on MSNBC, and so she has a podcast with two other people. One of the persons that was talking, she was just looking at how many times this document uses the word woke, and woke is a new code word. Let me pause right here. What does woke mean to you? When I was back in the day, I would say in the 80s, we used to use the word conscious. A person that had learned about their history or had done had gained some knowledge of self.
They were rooted.
They were rooted. That person was referred to as conscious. And then, I don't know, I think through the hip hop music or through the hip hop generation, the term woke came in. Brother Keaty, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Sure. From my perspective, the word woke aligns with ethnocentric consciousness. In 1993, the most impactful article ever published in Foreign Affairs magazine, the Journal of the Council on Foreign Relations, was Samuel P. Huntington's article, "A Clash of Civilizations?" ?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Steve Coakley was the one who brought that to our attention, and I really got into it. 1996, Samuel Huntington, former National Security Advisor for Jimmy Carter, published the book, "A Clash of Civilizations and the Remaking of World Order." So what woke means, essentially, from that perspective, is that the people who have made up the quote unquote American.
You froze, Keaty.
Okay.
For a split second. You're
Okay.
okay. You're okay now.
Yeah, the people that have been expected to make up the American tapestry and put their hand over their heart when the flag came up, started finding their own ethnic identities even more practical for sustainable, empowering development. So the term woke, from the perspective of this right-wing reaction, means they're no longer under our direct, complete cultural control. Last point I want to make, and this throws a big bucket of water on this whole idea forwarded with this Project 2025. The news headline this morning on National Public Radio talked about the low percentage of American men getting a college education. And one particular school, they pointed out, University of Vermont, where the women enrolled in University of Vermont outnumber the men 2 to 1. So of every 3 people on campus, 2 are women.
Wow.
And they added that the men were not graduating, many of them. So this is a national crisis. And you know what they proposed?
I'm afraid to ask.
Affirmative action.
Whoa. For
That's
white,
what.
for white men.
Well, not necessarily white men.
For men. For men.
They can't propose it for white men, but they can't propose it just for men because they know that the Asians are going to override the Caucasians significantly if they give this affirmative action just to men. So it's going to be real clever. How are they going to realign this need to increase the number of males in America getting college degrees, because it's throwing the whole system out of balance. A lot of women now say they cannot find a man, largely due to the fact they used to find their husband on college campus.
Mm. Mm. That's interesting. That's you bring a lot of things in. You mentioned the Council of Foreign Relations and other things that document, the clash of cultures. I remember that. That was
Clash of Civilizations, question mark, was the foreign affairs. And then the book is even more important. The Clash of Civilizations and the Remaking of World Order. We are in that big clash right now. The American empire has hit the brick wall, and now it's about to get exciting.
Wow. Anybody else want to talk about wokeism? All of a sudden it came up, and now it's used as a derogatory term. When you hear that, like let me share my screen on that. I'm going to skip. Let's see. Let me skip down because I saved. Yeah. So here's how wokeism is used in this document. So the Great Awakening. Woke bureaucrats at the Pentagon forced troops to attend training seminars about white privilege. Can't have that. And bureaucrats at the State Department infused foreign aid programs with woke extremism about intersectionality. The woke culture warriors have infiltrated every last American institution. How to muzzle. And what I did, I just typed in the word woke in the document. I just typed in the word woke in the document, and this is what popped up. How to muzzle woke propaganda at every level of government. Those who run our so-called corporations have bent to the will of the woke agenda. The woke left today seeks a world bound by global treaties they write, in which they exercise dictatorial powers over all nations without being subject to democratic accountability. So this is, of course, from their perspective. Left to our own devices, the American people rejected European monarchy and colonialism, just as we rejected slavery. They want to return back to it. Second-class citizens for women, mercantilism, That was the beginning of capitalism. Socialism, Wilson globalism, fascism, communism, and today wokeism. So all of these things, slavery, second-class citizen for women, mercantilism, socialism, Wilson globalism, fascism, communism is equated with wokeism. The woke-dominated system of public schools and universities, including trade schools, apprenticeship programs, the student loan alternatives that fund student dreams instead of Marxist academies. This book, they're talking about the project 2025. This book, this project, this entire project 2025 is a plan to unite the conservative movement and the American people against elite rule and woke culture warriors. They're really concerned. Simon Hankinson, woke public diplomacy undermines the State Department. You know, so America is divided between two opposing forces, woke revolutionaries and those who believe in the ideals of the American Revolution. So they are just really consumed with that. Combating the left's aggressive attacks on life, religious liberty, and confronting wokeism throughout the federal government. Or worse yet, the policies, plans, and preferences of a radical, supposedly woke faction of the country. I think this might be the last. This office should be should be engaged early and often in OBMs. I forgot what that meant, what that stands for. Effort to drive policy, including by obtaining transparency about entities that are awarded federal contracts and grants, by using government contracts to push back against woke policies in corporate America. You know, and so everything is just really against wokeism, other woke ideas. The administration should stop messaging on wokeness and diversity and focus instead on attracting the best talent. The department is a convenient, they're talking about education. The department is a convenient one-stop shop for the woke education agenda. So what's this last one? Woke policies. They're just really obsessed with that word woke. That's all through the document.
But you know, it's typical of the Caucasian people to take our positive words and positive things that we use that are positive and change them to something negative. That's typical, to take what we called that was something positive, being conscious, and call the word woke. It's typical to me. You know, It's no surprise. That's what they do.
You know, they'll use your words against you. You know, when I was in junior high, our PE teacher retired. We got Oakland High's wrestling coach. So we did a lot of wrestling, you know, in gym class. And actually, you know, I was like one of these skinny kids. And actually, I was a pretty good wrestler, oddly enough. And one of the things in wrestling is like a reverse. You know, you get points for that, you know, 2-point reverse, you know, so person's attacking you and then you reverse the attack. And so that's what I always see, you know. So you mention something positive, like, okay, people are using the word Hotep, you know, which is a word that's supposed to mean peace and sacrifice, and you know, but it's used in a derogatory word. It's almost like the N word. You know, and wokeism is like that. And wokeism is almost like, you know, when they say that just keeps them from using the N word. You know. All right. Any other observations? We're going to end right at 6:30 because the women of WOSE are going to start at 6:30, and I don't want to encroach on their time like I've been accused of doing. No, nobody has accused me. I just said it. Okay, no. All right. Okay. Glad to see our sister here has joined us, S. Candy Flanders.
That's my daughter.
Is that right?
Yes.
Hey, how are you? Glad to meet you. I don't think we've met. All right, glad. Well, so what does the S stand for?
She ain't gonna tell you, but her name.
Okay, don't tell me then. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. That's all right.
Well, I named her, and I'm her mother, and I can tell you.
Look, if she doesn't want to,
But I got to live with her, so I don't want to argue afterwards. I'll tell you later.
If with your permission,
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like to return once again to this idea of wokeism.
Okay, yes.
And I put forward that woke, from the perspective of the dominating white male hegemony, woke means I can no longer contain you. You want to be who you were before I redefined you. Now I'm going to return to 2 paragraphs from that 1993 article. Samuel P. Huntington, he wrote, civilization identity will be increasingly important in the future, and the world will be shaped in large measure by the interactions among 7 or 8 major civilizations. These include Western, Confucian, Japanese, Islamic, Hindu, Slavic Orthodox, Latin American, and possibly African civilization. The most important conflicts of the future will occur along the cultural fault lines separating these civilizations from one another. Why will this be the case? First, differences among civilizations are not only real, they are basic. Civilizations are differentiated from each other. A history, language, culture, tradition, and most important, religion. The people of different civilizations have different views on the relations between God and man, the individual and the group, the citizen and the state, parents and children, husband and wife, as well as differing views of the relative importance of rights and responsibilities, liberty and authority, equality and hierarchy. These differences are the product of centuries. They will not soon disappear. They are far more fundamental than differences among political ideologies and political regimes. Differences do not necessarily mean conflict, but over the centuries, differences among civilizations have generated the most prolonged and most violent conflicts. So that's what these people are faced with. And I'll be honest with you, I can completely understand why the Heritage Foundation is so freaked out. They organized themselves over almost 51 years ago to steer the country in a way that would allow them to maintain their hegemonic position. And they have failed, repeatedly failed, and now demographics has collapsed on them. So the key about it is, and some of you may know this example, you see a weak, skinny mutt dog on the street, and one day you decide to assert your authority over it. So you back that skinny little mutt dog up in a corner, only to find out the dog had fangs and is now prepared to use them. My question, our question should be, in the face of this skinny dog now backed up in a corner and having to bear its fangs, what are we prepared to do to defend our long-term sustainable self-interest?
We got a hand up on that one. Kitty, go ahead, Mama Zarita.
Ashamed to everything that Baba Petey has said. So Minister Imhotep, you remember those beautiful pictures you emailed?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and I responded and I said, wow. And what came to my mind was, imagine our people seeing that constantly. Because that to me is woke. That young brother up in the heavens,
yeah,
dressed in his urban attire.
Yeah.
That says so much about who we are and who we are, just being and comfortable and loving it. And that's what woke is to me. And all the building and the nourishing and the brilliance and the strategies that go with to come against that which tries to assails us. And it makes me think, let's be honest, that white boy, there are certain populations, demographics in the United States. For example, I've read where the average age of the white male in America is 42. Average age of the African male is like 10 years different. The childbearing years, when we start having babies, we're in our 20s. White women are in their mid-30s. What does that mean in terms of population? If you're having babies at 20 and they're having babies at 30 and maybe even 40, beginning their families, the population regrowth is going to naturally be greater among that African population than it is among the white population. They're afraid of that. And they shouldn't be, but the truth is they are. And it's the fear and the anxieties and the insecurities they have, and we don't call it that. That's what woke is. It's okay if you're 40 years old in median, and our men are 30. It's okay if you're having your babies at 30 or 35 and we're having our babies at 20, 22, 25. It doesn't make one group less human than the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when I looked at those images, they are so powerful.
Let me share those, let people know what Mama Zarita is talking about. So I've been collecting, there's a lot of AI art, and me and my brother Sebastian, we've been talking about trees and different aspects about trees and their growth, and there were a number of those in my collection. So like, okay, there's this one. This is a really great one, and then I sent these because in our Love Supreme sessions that we have on Mondays and Fridays in the morning. So this one, we were talking about prayer, and this is one of them. I thought this was a great one. And then here's another. Here's a young brother. He's in the rain, but it doesn't look like it's hurting his meditation. And then here's a. I think this is a very powerful one. Looks like, would you say that was Maasai, Kitty? The Maasai group, just by.
No, this is they're either Maasai or Nkosi, I believe.
Nkosi, like, so South Africa?
Yeah, more towards the southern part. They could be Maasai, but it's because it's AI, it's not going to be true to its true tribal alignment. Yeah. It's kind of a blend.
Yeah. So I thought that one was a powerful one. And then here's another tree one. And kind of end it with this one here. So that's what Mama Zarita is talking about. All right. Love those images. I do too, Thandiwe. They're great. I have to say, I didn't do them, but I collect them. And there are different apps now that you can get to create your own AI images, and people are really they're really proliferating on social media. I've noticed. So for good or bad, I try to use the positive aspect That's what. So let me dive in. Are there any other comments or questions?
Real quick, Minister,
Uh-huh.
as it relates to woke,
Mhm.
from the Euro perspective,
Mhm.
coupled with Sister Zarita was saying, but I think another thing is that use your term, they're looking at this reversal, and their fear is that we're wired the way they are, that so below, that which was up will be down, and that which is down is now shifting up. And they feel that when we are up, that we will do to them as they have done to others. That's a fear. We're not wired like that.
Mm-hmm.
But because their wiring is so strong within themselves, they think that everybody else patterns their system, their culture, their way of doing things the way they do. And that's a fear.
Well, you know, that's very real, and we're not necessarily trying to get revenge. I was on the Philippe show yesterday, and I used this example. You know, when you chess, how many people play chess or have played chess? And chess is a game about checkmating the black king, because white always moves first. I didn't make that rule up. Go ahead, Damani. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying I played chess. Yeah, I was just saying. I was actually in conversation. Brother Keely brought out a point. Woke me. You're no longer under our control. Wow, that is very interesting. I've learned to look at everything since studying this book, Tip of the Spear. I learned to look at everything through the lens of military science. And whites seem to be very adept or raised in military science. Otherwise, the organization and the domination, the organization and the maintenance of domination. And so all this stuff reminds me of the organization and the maintenance of domination. But like Brother Keely said, what we're going to do about it?
Yeah.
And Brother Keely, I just like to say, I ordered 2 of your books about an hour ago. And anyway, I'll let you continue on.
He's giving you a thumbs up. He's giving you a thumbs up, Damani. But getting back to what Sebastian was saying, you know, I think that we're just trying not to be, as a people, trying not to be checkmated. You know, we're just, because, okay, when you're playing chess, the object is to make sure that the king, whatever square he's on, he's in check. So if it's education, he's in check. If it's housing, he's in check. If it's you name it. You know, now here in California, you can go to a dispensary and go in and get whatever kind of marijuana you want. You can get it. You can get buds. You can get. Not that I know anything about it, but you know, you can get edibles. You can get, but there are people in jail. So I think our aim is to not be checkmated. That's really what we're trying to. We're trying to prevent from being checkmated. Let me get into this while we still have some time, sisters and brothers. So here's this blueprint. So it's a blueprint for authoritarianism. You know, it explicitly advocates policing independent institutions by replacing the federal bureaucracy with conservative activists and removing independence for many agencies. So they want to just take all of the civil servants and put their yes men on. It advocates for gutting what it calls the deep state, a conspiracy theory shared by the project's authors that blames civil servants for coordinated effort to undermine a conservative agenda. Project 2025 claims to already be recruiting and training those who would replace career civil servants, with project director Paul Dan saying, "We want conservative warriors." So these are the people that we want, that they want in administration. There are several elements of the project that spread disinformation about medical issues, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, they want to downpress all of these different things: climate change, civil rights, marginalized communities. The entire project is devoted to aggrandizing executive power by centralizing authority in the presidency, and a key aspect of Democratic backsliding is viewing the opposition elements as attempting to destroy the real community, an essential aspect to quashing dissent. So if you're not with them, then you're not, you know, real about democracy. Targeting vulnerable communities is a core tenet of Project 2025. The woke are described as subversive elements aimed at destroying the country and its real value. So people that are woke, because you don't want to be discriminated against, because you want your real history taught, you're described as subversive. Go ahead, Kitty.
Brother, thank you for sharing this. As I'm reading the excerpts that you pulled forward,
yes,
it sounds to me like Project 2025 could have been written by AIPAC, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, and Zionist conservatism.
Whoa.
Because they do everything that's being proposed here. And they don't care whether it's a donkey or an elephant. When the election is done, AIPAC slides right next to the newly anointed king and says, "Let me tell you how it's going to be."
Well, they're trying to, right now, they're trying to unseat people like AOC. You know, she's being targeted, and other people that are quote unquote progressive.
Woke.
The woke. Well, you know, progressive is another term, you know, that's kind of on the same level. Woke is the new bad guy term, but yeah.
And one other point I'll make is that when they were talking about these entrenched civil servants, somebody correct me if you disagree, but it sounded to me like they are referring to feminists that are entrenched across all levels of the U.S. federal government.
It could be, but you know what? You mentioned that earlier. Are you familiar with what has been said about Gloria Steinem?
That she was an agent of a 3-letter alphabet organization?
Yes.
I believe that to be true. They also targeted.
I believe that.
One of their early targets was the Black Panther Party.
Yes.
And through the feminists, I mean that specifically, the feminists targeted Black Panther Party leadership and had them publicly endorsing something that has been absolutely destructive to Black family.
That's right. Anti-Black racism is evident in the project's sweeping denunciation of the noxious tenets of critical race theory. Now, critical race theory, the way they act about that, critical race theory, they act like that's taught in kindergarten, you know. But you have to get
college scores. Yeah,
you have to get on the university level.
Yes.
To take that, but the way it's applied is like, and so now you have in Florida, you know, my son is moving to Florida. I told him there's a travel advisory there. But it, you know, in Florida, they're taking out a lot of African American studies, history, etc. As a matter of fact, and it was re-brought to my attention as we're meeting. You know, Nathan Hare, Dr. Nathan Hare passed away yesterday.
Oh.
He was 94,
Mhm.
and God bless him. He's the father of Black studies. You know, they didn't want to have it at Howard University, HBCU, and he left there and went to San Francisco State and started it. You know, Black studies. The father of Black studies, Dr. Nathan Hare, passed. May his name live long in our memory. May he continue to feed us from those lofty plains, though we see him not. So I don't know what kind of services they're going to have for him. I know that Marvin X was keeping the community updated on, you know, his status. He had been in a rest facility for a few years now, and you know, the thing is, and we're actually going to do a Black Knowledge Matters on risk management. The thing is, we know even at 94, you know, we didn't come here to stay, and so we have to prepare for that. I know it's not such an easy topic to bring up, but it's something that we all need to, you know, be ready for it and address it, so that we're not leaving our family with the bills, you know. So we're at that. Actually, we're going to have someone do risk management, risk management on Black Knowledge Matters. And I was given a good name today, and I'm going to pursue that person. It's a sister here in the Sacramento area, and I haven't reached out to her yet. She may say no, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to reach out, and I think that will be good for us to at least listen to, because okay, even when if you have a trust, you can avoid, you know, the probate costs. Thank you. Yeah. So these are just things. I know I got off topic, but I wanted to. I just wanted to let everybody know Dr. Nathan Hare is an ancestor. All right,
Minister. Another thing I think that fits into this is if you're familiar with the women that had the Fearless Fund.
Oh, help me remember that.
These sisters had these were doing well in businesses and would pool together money to help other Black women get their businesses going.
Mhm.
And the government has stepped in and says that's somewhat discriminatory.
Right. The courts that have ruled.
Yes, discriminatory.
What state?
It's like,
what state was that in, or was that the Supreme Court that did that? It was
I don't know.
That just happened in the last couple of days, right?
Well, no, this has been since this is getting a little bit more traction now, but yeah, it's been going on for a little while that they've been, you know, trying to stifle their efforts so they won't even allow us to help ourselves anymore.
Yeah, they make laws against that.
Yes.
So, the Project 2025 is an ongoing project. You know. Anyway, we got about 15 minutes. How is everybody with this topic? Does it make you want to read about it more?
Mhm.
You know, I mean, we really should. It's
Yeah, I think we really need to get on top of that. I'm looking at all of the people, all of the foundations and people that are behind this whole thing. It's so many.
Yeah, here it is. I have it in my notes. Oh, you know what? That's just a picture. Oh, that's just I thought I thought I sent the full thing. That's just the front page.
In this, Bill put up in the chat,
Yeah,
not only the summary, but the full 920-page book. I've just downloaded it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. We need to look at it. Okay, here it is. Let me share. Yeah, here it is. It's a big one. So they used to say, if you want to hide something from Black people, put it in a book. And so here,
Well, the table of contents alone was just
yeah,
mind blowing anyway.
yeah. So, and different people are writing, and like I showed you, Ben Carson wrote on.
I'm gonna sleep on the sofa because I can't lay flat because my
Yeah, congestion rises, you can't breathe, yeah.
oh, somebody talking to you?
Hello,
Oh.
somebody should mute, I think. Anyway, it's very comprehensive. You know, gives acknowledgments. It's just these are the organizations. Alabama Policy Institute. I'm sure they're friendly to African Americans. All right.
Oh, bunch.
Yeah. Concerned Women for America, Defense of Freedom Institute, Ethics and Public Policy Center, Family Policy Alliance, Family Research Council, the Heritage Foundation. Yeah, it's but you know what, sisters and brothers, you can actually download this, and Bill has helped us in the first step. It's in the chat right now.
And when you go on their site, you can actually sign up, to be a member and all that stuff. And when I went out there to look at it, I was it had already populated my name and everything. I was like, oh. But yeah, you can sign up.
Yeah. So it's very very comprehensive. I'll just say that. Let's see. There's a couple of things in the chat.
We got to send somebody, Sugar D, to keep us up to date on what they're doing to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead and put your name back in there.
Say go ahead and join.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Be our woman on the inside.
That's right. We need a couple of moles. We need a couple
What
of
they call
moles
that,
in
the
their system.
spookle sat by the door.
Sat by the door.
Now that's another movie, Kitty, that
Right.
that movie came out in I want to say 1973, and I had just read the book the year before, and that movie didn't stay in the theater longer than a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was
Tells too much.
And then it was taken out. And then when Wolsey was young, we used to have like movie night. And in order to get that movie, it was like $1,000 to get a 16 millimeter copy of that movie.
And that was way back then.
And that was in 1982, 1983. Yeah, that was a very powerful movie. That was a very powerful movie. The Spook was set by the door. So Sugar D,
I'm sorry I was late. I had a class, but you know what? One of the things I did look at the Project 2025, and there's like Hillsdale listed there, and I don't know if they mentioned it earlier, but you know what? They're offering free classes, like they are running commercials, and you can sign in and get these free classes. They will explain to you like how the Constitution works and all this other stuff. And as the first time I saw it, even before I knew about this Project 2025, it's like, wow, now they're doing indoctrination and they're just doing it right on the surface. Just all you have to do is just log in, sign up. The classes are free and they'll just tell you everything you need to think.
That's yeah. Why do you need to think?
That's exactly
Say
it.
everything you need to think, not what you need to know.
think.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'm upset about the way that they're projecting critical race theory. You know, it's another that they're really masters at disinformation. You know, and if you didn't do any research, you would not know that critical race theory is a college, university class. You know, it's not like in, you know, like you're in second grade and it's not like Handmaid's Tale. Whose fault was it, class? You know, it's not like that. Yeah. All right, we got about 10 minutes. This is a lively discussion. I didn't know how this was going to go, and I'm enjoying this discussion. And we're all around the country here. Where are you, Brother Herman? Are you? I know you're not in. Kenya, but
I'm right here in Sacramento.
you're right here in Sacramento.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And isn't that Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, it is intense. Yes.
You know, I was
Just-
thinking it was in Kenya, but maybe I don't.
They have Mount Kenya in Kenya. It's more pointed, very elegant, and covered with snow all year long.
Yeah, yeah. You know, one of our ministers actually hiked up there. You know, had all the snow equipment on and stuff, and he says that, you know, they went up with a group, and as they were coming up, it was a Maasai, and you know how they're dressed,
Mhm.
you know, with coming down, you know, no equipment, you know, walking stick. He had already been to the top. He's walking down, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
I'm real quick, Minister. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this Netflix miniseries, The Family.
I have not.
Something that you might want to check out. It also goes into some of these little hidden groups that the government sort of participates in, and how they get things like 2025 going, how Trump comes to be.
Yeah, I was talking to, I'm not going to call their name, but I was talking to a dear friend, and they said that they were in the grocery store, and they had come across a brother. He looked rather intelligent, and they made a comment about Orange Jesus. They didn't say Orange Jesus, but you know, and that person, that brother, was for him. You know, you know, and he was defending him in the store. And well, that's why we're having this class. That's why we're having this session. So anytime somebody wants to talk about, okay, Biden and this and that, you know, the other thing too about voting for a president, the Supreme Court, because that lasts so much longer, so much beyond a person's presidency. So George Bush the first, and somebody mentioned, I think it was Keedy, it might have been Sebastian, Prescott Bush. Look him up.
Yeah.
Look up, do a search. You know, before we used to have to go to the library and do these things, but do a search on Prescott, but who he was. Okay, that's George Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush's father. And then he comes along and puts Clarence Thomas in the Supreme Court.
You can go back, Minister, and my search started back, and the person that put me on this was Dr. Robinson, Ray Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
And this was probably close to 30 years ago, as I had questions about the Bush, and he didn't say Prescott. He says Samuel. He says, go back to Prescott's father.
I'm not
Start your research from there.
I'm not
And
even.
you'll find out everything about the Bushes. And there was a book that was out that I spent many years trying to get. And when I finally came across the book, it was online, I can download it, but when I wanted the actual book, it was just a paperback book.
Yes.
I went to the Avid Reader, which is downtown across the street from the Capitol, knowing that they would probably have a lot of information as it related to, presidential books. The guy put me in contact with the Avid Reader in Davis, near the university. Guy named Gary at the time. Told him what the book was. He says, I'll get back to you. He calls me 3 weeks later. He says, I've got some good news. I got some bad news. He says, I found the book. He says, it's going to cost you about $250. I'm saying, for an old paperback, I got scared.
Yeah.
Wasn't at the price. I'm going like, something's not right about this. Didn't touch it.
Yeah.
Stopped even looking at it online.
Right.
Real quick, years later, I found out that Carol,
Carol's
I
book?
called Melba up there. Melba says, we've got 4 in stock, Sebastian. I says, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Go grab me 2 of them.
Uh-huh.
By the time I got there, what was her father's name? Oh my goodness. He says, oh no, a guy came in about a month ago in a suit and tie and bought all 4 of them and quietly walked out.
Whoa.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah. There's some things that they just don't want out, Hey, we got about 5 minutes. So let me end. Next week, we're going to have another session. We don't have a title yet, but it's going to be good. All right. So I hope to see you. Hope to see you next week. This is part of my collection of AI art, and the artist, I think, is Damian Hammond. He's a Black violinist. And then we'll go into Women of Wose. Thank you for joining us. right, it's 6:29. We're going to end on time. Give thanks. I'm going to make Sister Connie the host. And brothers, we got to go. All right, live up. One love, one heart, one God, one aim, one destiny. All right. Thanks. Thank you all for coming.